Hopefully these go better. I'm smashed before 1 on these games. I cannot believe that this game destroyed me. I can. Why did I get involved live? That's on me, not
That
you.
is on you.
All right.
That's on you.
You didn't have to run up the score. I said it was on me.
It was on you.
Right.
You just didn't see the writing on the wall. Knee it! Let's get out of Dodge!
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Can I get an ISO? Come on. Give me the ISO over here.
Give
right
me the
here.
ISO. He wants the camera.
Look, I'm going to get nice and comfortable right now. I've been telling you people out there, yes, you people, about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. My connection to the Irish growing up as a kid. I hated that team. But they called me at the network the most unbiased man here, which means I'm giving you the information straight from the mouth here. You don't have to go anywhere. You get it from me.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
You're looking at Joe Burrow being the guy that I was in on the beginning of the year. Clearly, that is no longer an option. So where are we looking on this board? And I keep landing on the same thing, which is, Baker Mayfield's been kind of the story this year. Think about this. He's plus 950 for MVP. They look like right now one of the, if not the most formidable team in the NFC.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But Tua goes out there, my kids love me. I'm rich. I don't care. You got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, the Dolphins press conferences make it way worse. If I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Good afternoon. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. Do you like underdogs in the NFL? Wow, they're coming through in a big way. Not only on the football field, but, I probably should say on the baseball field as well. Some wacky results yesterday in both the NFL, maybe baseball, depending on who you thought would win the American League Championship Series. We'll dive into the latest and go over everything in the NFL and also college football. Let's not forget, we've got some major firings in college football as well. The latest on Penn State's search for a new head coach. Bill Bender will be with us from Sporting News. How about your fantasy football team? You got to be doing better than me this season. That's not even a question. Joe Pisapia will try to help you out, maybe help me out as well. Tom Vecchio also on the show. Stay tuned. We got a lot to get through here on the program today. It's a great Tuesday here at SportsGrid, as we say. But let's start off, for those of you who maybe hit that parlay button last night, couple of dogs, maybe winning outright. What did you think? Did you think the Falcons and Bears could both win Monday Night Football? If you did, you won 24-14. The Falcons take an early lead and generally never look back in this one. I would say two things about this game, having watched some of it. Very strange game plan for Buffalo and outstanding execution, I know that's cliche, for the Atlanta Falcons. 3 players on offense, Michael Penix Jr., Bijan Robinson, and Drake London just literally ate the Bills' defense apart. Have to think the Bills got to get better on defense if they have aspirations of going further. Let's hear from Raheem Morris on arguably their biggest win in over a year against the Bills.
I really can't. They went out and executed their game plan. They did a great job. I can't wait to watch the film to see all the execution, the things that we talked about come to life. I can't wait to watch those guys go out there and play for each other like they did today. It was a very excellent job by those guys going out there, rushing a very good quarterback, keeping him in the pocket up into that last drive or whatever the case was. He was able to get out, but those guys did a great job of executing the game plan and doing exactly what we wanted to do versus a very good football team.
Not the result we were looking for. I thought the guys played hard, in particular in the second half, fought through some injuries, guys stepping up. Injuries are not an excuse. There's no such thing as moral victories. But I did think that they battled down to the end right there, which I appreciate. Not good enough in the first half. Allowing them to be a two-dimensional offense when they hit us on some long runs, and then and the receiver comes open, and so we've got to. I thought we did a good job making adjustments at halftime on the defensive side and limiting them in the second half and giving our offense some opportunities. Just not enough overall as a team.
Second dog of the night to cover against the spread and win outright. Chicago Bears go to Washington, D.C. And how about that? Win that game? I don't know a lot of people who thought that was going to happen. 25-24, the final story in this one was the Bears clamping down late on defense. They haven't done that all year. And the performance of DeAndre Swift, who came through swiftly, no pun intended. Washington certainly playing without Terry McLaurin. They need some playmakers going there again in Washington. They're struggling a little bit on offense. Caleb Williams, by the way, from that area in D.C., gets to go home, get the win. Talked about it after.
Yeah, it felt great. Back in, hometown, obviously, and been able to come out with a win like that is big for us, big for us as a team, big for us as an offense, special team, just overall big for us. And, that's a hell of a team over there. So being able to come out victorious in a dogfight where, things weren't perfect, weather wasn't perfect, and being able to come out victorious is big for us. So feel great.
We've become way too accustomed of digging ourselves out of holes. 2 early turnovers, 1 late. All 3 phases dug the hole, and all 3 phases helped get out. But we didn't create enough takeaways to finish -3. You really don't deserve to win many games when you're, in that space. So had chances for interceptions, had chances to get some, did not create any. Honestly, just didn't perform well enough. Run game both sides. So a lot that needs our attention, and get right back to it as we, get going right against the division opponent next week. But this one stings. You have a chance even to dig yourself out and go battle for it and not get that job done. But like I said, you got to create them also to finish in the plus. So
after our show was over, I got a text from our producer Frank saying that there was a firing in the National Football League. And so I guess I shouldn't have been surprised that it was Tennessee firing head coach Brian Callahan. Now, folks, I'm going to read you this record and you tell me how it sounds. 4 wins and 19 losses as the head coach of the Titans. It's sort of incredible, this NFL, where they guys get jobs and just lose at incredible rates and somehow end up getting jobs again. Mike McCoy, remember him? Remember Mike McCoy? I think he was he head coach of the San Diego Chargers, I want to say, back in the day? He's the interim head coach. Yeah, good luck. Okay, the Seattle Mariners, folks, look like they could be headed to the World Series. They just went to Toronto and won the first 2 games of their best-of-7 American League Championship Series. Seattle got off to a great start with Julio Rodriguez hitting a home run early. And yeah, he hit it off that young pitcher on Toronto, Trey Savage, who just had absolutely nothing. It seems like, hey, maybe they watched some film on this guy before the game, which the Yankees did not do. Sorry. 10-3 the final. Seattle takes a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 series. They're headed back to the Pacific Northwest, and they can wrap up the ALCS if they win the next 2 this weekend. But bullpen was the topic of conversation because once Seattle took the lead, bullpen hung in well. Here's Dan Wilson.
Yeah, I thought it was just an outstanding job again tonight by the bullpen. Logan giving us 3, and that was what we needed. And then, you hand the ball to Bizzardo, who's been so solid, so consistent all season long, and gave us, a nice bridge to get to the later innings. And then Vargy, jumping on after we were able to take a lead. And, when you got a guy like Vargy who's able to come in and throw 98, 99 miles an hour, that's a plus. And again, he gave us 2 strong innings, turned it over to Emerson and another 2 strong innings. So just an excellent job by the bullpen tonight.
Do what we've done all year. I think just looking at the difference in these first 2, slug hasn't been there for us, has been there for them. And you never know when it's going to turn. They got a good pitching staff. They're featuring some good stuff. But, I thought today was way better than yesterday, obviously. And, we hit some balls hard. I want these guys to continue to feel like they're on the attack. You know what I mean? It's what we've done this entire season. So hopefully the luck turns and hopefully the slug shows up when we get there.
National League Championship Series goes the way that most thought in Game 1. It was the Dodgers picking up the victory in the best-of-7 series. Blake Snell was incredible. He's a starter for the Dodgers. 2-1 the final in Milwaukee as they take back home field advantage throughout the NLCS. They'll play the second game tonight. In addition, in the NFL, let's get to some other news before we get to Bill Bender. Brian Branch of the Lions was suspended 1 game following his incident with the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night. He's appealing that one. Also, Mike McDaniel said yesterday Tua Tagovailoa shouldn't have brought up team meetings and stuff after the game where the Dolphins lost to the Chargers. How about Mike Tomlin? Check this out. He said that he didn't like the trade of the Browns sending Joe Flacco in the division to the Bengals. Take a listen.
You know, to be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
Bill Bender's up next. What is next for Penn State? We'll find out. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more NewsWire here on SportsGrid with Bill Bender from Sporting News.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Hopefully these go better. I'm smashed before 1 on these games. I cannot believe that this game destroyed me. I can. Why did I get involved live? That's on me. Not
That
you.
is on you.
All right.
That's on you.
You didn't have to run up the score. I said it was on me.
It was on you.
All right.
You just didn't see the writing on the wall. Knee it! Let's get out of Dodge!
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Can I get an ISO? Come on. Give me the ISO over here.
Give
right
me the
here.
ISO.
Come on,
He
give me
wants the
ISO.
camera.
Look, I'm going to get nice and comfortable right now. I've been telling you people out there, yes, you people, about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. My connection to the Irish growing up as a kid. I hated that team. But they called me at the network the most unbiased man here, which means I'm giving you the information straight from the mouth here. You don't have to go anywhere. You get it from me.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But Tua goes out there, my kids love me. I'm rich. I don't care. You got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, dude, the Dolphins press conferences make it way worse. If I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. The college football world was stunned to see James Franklin get fired by Penn State and basically not have to work for the rest of his life based on this buyout money. Let's tap into this a little bit more with Bill Bender from Sporting News before we get to some of the games this past weekend. And, Bill, I guess I should have saw it coming because I saw one report, and you tell me if this is accurate or not. I don't know, in your reporting or seeing what's going on, that this was coming because the sponsorship company Adidas had something to do with it in terms of boosters. When that kind of money gets loud, Bill, it's over for you as a head coach. When you don't have the support of your number one NIL fund, so to speak, you're going to be in big trouble. Somebody from Adidas must have been at these games watching what was going on here, because other than that, Franklin's record has been fantastic there.
Yeah, I think some of that has been denied since, but I mean, you're talking about a coach, Craig, with a 698 winning percentage. Jimmy Johnson had a 699 winning percentage in college. So it's not like he wasn't winning. He just didn't have the benefit of a national title. This year, obviously, has become a little bit of a train wreck. And I think for Penn State, now the question becomes, are you really going to take that next step and be a national championship contender? They'd be lying if they say they're that right now. They haven't won a national title in 40 years. James Franklin had them in a spot where they would be in playoff contention, but there is a difference when you want to take that step to be the next big thing.
Did they beat Miami? Was it that long ago? 40 years ago? That
Yeah.
was it Penn? Was it then? That was it? I remember that as a.
Yeah, I was a kid too, and watching Vinny Testaverde throwing a bunch of interceptions, remember?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, Vinny throwing those picks against Penn State. Wow, it was that long ago. And so a lot of names being thrown out there, and we've seen coaches try to dance around that conversation. There's no question in my mind, Bill, that the hottest coaching candidate in the offseason is going to be, or even sooner, is going to be Curt Cignetti. He's not going to stay at Indiana. He's going to get an incredible job. But I don't know that that's a fit for him. Do you think there's anyone else involved?
No, there's a couple names that come to mind. I think one of four guys would be Penn State's next coach, in my opinion. It's either Curt Cignetti, if he wants to leave Bloomington, which why would he right now? Matt Rule, obviously with the Penn State ties, played their relationship with the AD, very good program builder. I think Eli Drinkwitz is interesting at Missouri. I've seen that name circulate a little bit. And then Manny Diaz, who has a connection to the program. And if those other guys kind of say, no, we're good where we're at, he'd be one to watch as well. Those are the four most logical candidates for the job.
They'll have to lock that in, by the way. I said after the season. That's not the way college works. Right. The recruiting starts. You got to have this done probably, I would guess, by next month or early December. Okay, so it depends on when you bet this game, whether you won or lost on either side, Bill. That's just a fact here, because Alabama beat Missouri 27-24. And first, let's just do the spread here. Some 2.5s, some 3s, some 3.5s. It all depends. This was just simply depending on when you bet the game, which is rare. Usually you don't see that happen, but the key number is 3. Key player, Ty Simpson in this one. Alabama played the better game against Missouri. If you're looking at the score and you're saying it was close, I mean, Missouri scored a touchdown late to cover the spread or at least make it close if you had the 3.5. Beyond that, Alabama's offense playing as well as any team in the country.
Some that had 3.5 are a little bitter about that late touchdown by Missouri. But, this is a really good Alabama team. They're throwing the ball. They ranked 3rd in the SEC in pass offense. I think Ty Simpson's been brilliant. Not a game manager. He's more than that. He throws the ball down the field. He plays well. I love how they're using. Are we going to get a Caden Proctor reverse soon? That's what I'm wondering. Something like that with him. Love this offense. They do need to run the ball better as they get into the teeth of the SEC schedule here against Tennessee this week. But to me, I said it last week, I'll say it again, I have Alabama projected to be favored and maybe win the rest of their SEC games.
Yeah, me too. And by the way, right now, they're overwhelming favorites to just make the college football playoff, which is all Alabama's looking for at this point, because then it becomes a tournament. Minus 470, still a long shot a little bit to win the SEC. Other teams involved, like Georgia and some others. And then Ty Simpson's number, by the way, to make the Heisman, plus 340, about the highest, or the shortest, I should say, it's been since the beginning of the season. Okay, Georgia's defense comes through. They take care of Auburn 20-10. Kirby Smart taking his shirt off at the end of the game. Didn't see that coming. I guess I should have. First half of the game, Auburn did well. Second half of the game, they did nothing. That's been kind of the story for Georgia. Their offense, I would say, fair to say, Bill, is okay. Their offense is okay. Their defense is elite. And so they're going to play a lot of low scoring, really competitive games the rest of the season. Personally, Bill, I don't know that this is a team that's going to win a championship game scoring like as little as they do, but they certainly can go very far.
And they're more entertaining to watch than those teams that were just way better and dominating everybody else. It's kind of fun to watch Georgia play a one-score game. They've allowed 16 points in their last 3 SEC games. I do like that defense, like you said. Who knew they would win a game against Auburn with less than 100 yards rushing as a team? So I do think the line this week, I know we'll talk about it Friday, Ole Miss and Georgia, that line looks a little funny with them being favored by that much, but maybe somebody knows something we don't.
Finally, USC takes on Michigan this past week. And look, anything can happen in college football, but this was a very short line, and USC just throttled Michigan 31-13, really putting, I think, the Wolverines' overall chances in peril somewhat. That was a bad loss there, Bill, to USC.
Michigan's defense looked slow against a balanced USC offense that had 265 passing yards, 224 rushing yards. King Miller looked like Reggie Bush running around out there. He was amazing. Mekhi Lemon, one of the best receivers in college football. And then Jaden Mayava, who ranked second in passer rating in the FBS behind Julian Sayin for quarterbacks with at least 100 pass attempts. I think they're going to go into South Bend with a ton of confidence this week. And that's going to be one heck of a football game, knowing that USC still has Oregon. You could push Notre Dame out of the playoff. Yeah, I'm excited about that one already.
Yeah, one of the bigger games on the schedule. Both teams ranked inside the top 20 this week, and certainly a game-changing type performance from Notre Dame would put them in the big picture for the playoff as well. Bill, thanks for coming on the show. We will preview this game and all of the others coming up on Friday. You can see their USC right on the outside looking in at the college football playoff. Thanks again, Bill.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
All right, coming up next, SportsGrid Sound Off, we'll hear from Marcus Freeman, head coach of the Fighting Irish. Also, Brian Kelly looking for a win on the road against upstart Vanderbilt. And will we get another classic between Tennessee and Alabama this week? We'll find out next. SportsGrid Sound Off on deck. Don't go away.
Watching Tua Tagovailoa's post-game press conferences where he basically like, yeah, I'm getting paid, deal with it. By the way, how's the team? Nobody shows up to meetings, players-only meetings, people skip out. Nobody cares around here, and we lost again. Tua threw 3 interceptions. Yes, he's part of the problem. James Franklin got fired from Penn State, we'll talk about later. When is McDaniels getting shown the door? This team is ridiculous, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Basically a year's worth of starts at this point, because remember, Drake May was not the starter out of the gate during his rookie year last year. That was Jacoby Brissett. There have been some, encouraging performances and, I think some flashes of what could be upper echelon talent within the scope of the league. But going into this year, it was, we're going to find out.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night. Bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at plus 190. Right. These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are we going to sit here today and acknowledge that the Indianapolis Colts right now are the best team in the AFC?
They are right now.
They can run the football with Taylor. They got a competent quarterback the way he's playing right now in Daniel Jones. They are well coached.
They never punt.
They never punt.
They never punt.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Great showdown on Saturday between USC and Notre Dame. Then, of course, the SEC is always going to have some big showdowns this week. Not as big as I think as some of the games coming, but pretty good ones. So let's get to USC Notre Dame, LSU Vanderbilt, and Tennessee and Alabama. Time now for the SportsGrid Sound Off. Okay, let's begin with the Fighting Irish on Saturday night. Of course, their tough loss to the University of Miami put them behind the 8 ball for the college football playoff, but now they've worked themselves all the way back. They're ranked 13th in the country. they'll take on USC. The Trojans are ranked again. How about that? So maybe there's something to build on. Number 20 versus number 13 on Saturday. It's a rivalry that has been played year after year, and usually strange things will occur. So let's hear from Marcus Freeman and get a preview.
Number 6 I've respected him from last year, seeing him. Like, he's a dude. He is a good football player, tough, plays the game the right way. And then the wideout number 8 is a great player. So they got weapons all over the place. I know they lost a couple running backs, but the guy at 30 came in. He had some explosive gains, and no offense is running for that type of yards without having a really good offensive line. And so it'll be a challenge for our defense, and their defense is an aggressive attacking unit. They're getting pressure with 4 guys, and I think they're 5th in the country in sacks. Their D line's really good, and I think they forced 11 turnovers, which is top 15, top 20 in the country. So they're playing well on both sides of the ball. They're a competent team, just had a big win over Michigan, and so we got to continue to focus on what's important. That's the preparation. That's what's important, is the way we prepare for this opportunity we have on Saturday, and we'll continue to do that. So.
Meanwhile, Vanderbilt, the Commodores, are playing really good defense, kind of keeping games alive on offense. They've got a shot this week being at home, taking on LSU. This would be their biggest win of the season if they're able to pull it off, but the Tigers have other plans. Here's Brian Kelly heading on the road as slight underdogs against the Commodores.
So it'll be a great challenge going on the road. 11 a.m. start. We'll get them up early and get them rolling. But they're number 2 in the SEC in points scored. They're rushing top in the country. And so we know where it starts with Pavia at quarterback, an outstanding quarterback. He's the point guard and makes it happen. Really impressed with Alexander's growth from last year to this year as a runner. He's averaging 6 yards a carry. Eli Stowers he's up there with, we're prejudiced because of our tight ends, but he is a top tight end in the country. And again, I mentioned their defense. Hurd leads the team in tackles. Great safety play. Their edge player, Capers, has got 4.5 sacks. So we know, again, the foundational principles of their team is based upon, a strong process and believing in what they do, and they do it. So it'll be a great challenge for our football team.
And finally, on Saturday night, it is a revenge game on the schedule for the University of Alabama, having lost to the University of Tennessee last season, 24-17. Let's also not forget there have been some crazy endings when these two teams play, but this week it's in Tuscaloosa. The Tide 9.5-point favorites. Let's hear from Josh Heupel having his team travel on the road Saturday night to take on Alabama.
Hey, third Saturday in October, great historic rivalry game, and I know it'll be a great environment against a great football team, and looking forward to it. Got to go do a great job in our preparation, and you look at how they're playing offensively, defensively, special teams, playing at a really high level right now. Quarterback, playmakers out on the outside offensively for them, and defensively done a great job throughout the last few weeks here. Pass defense is one of the top in the country, and their front seven is big, strong, physical, and athletic. So, be a great test. And again, this is why you come to Tennessee to play in a game like this, and a great rivalry game with Alabama.
As Bill Bender mentioned earlier in the show, Ole Miss will take on Georgia earlier in the day. And so the SEC has a lot of the prime matchups coming up this week. And don't forget to catch all of our college football coverage here on SportsGrid starting Saturday morning, taking you all the way through the evening. If you want to learn more, you can download the SportsGrid app for iOS and Android. Here's how you do it. Take out your phone. Just scan that QR code. It'll get you all set up. By the way, for those of you who like to track your bets, it's a new feature we added over the last 6 months. You can actually do that in the SportsGrid app as well. We'll take a brief timeout. When we come back next, it's Fantasy Football Waiver Day. You ready to make some moves? Joe Pisapia is going to help you out next.
Have you been watching Tua Tagovailoa's post-game press conferences where he basically like, yeah, I'm getting paid, deal with it. By the way, how's the team? Nobody shows up to meetings, players-only meetings, people skip out. Nobody cares around here, and we lost again. Tua threw 3 interceptions. Yes, he's part of the problem. James Franklin got fired from Penn State, we'll talk about later. When is McDaniels getting shown the door? This team is ridiculous, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Basically a year's worth of starts at this point, because remember, Drake May was not the starter out of the gate during his rookie year last year. That was Jacoby Brissett. There have been some, encouraging performances and, I think some flashes of what could be upper echelon talent within the scope of the league. But going into this year, it was, we're going to find out.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night. Bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at old plus 190. Right. These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are we going to sit here today and acknowledge that the Indianapolis Colts right now are the best team in the AFC?
They are right now.
They can run the football with Taylor. They got a competent quarterback the way he's playing right now in Daniel Jones. They are well coached.
They never punt.
They never punt.
They never punt.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Joe Pisapia is with us from Fantasy Sports Today and Fantasy Pros. Of course, his Fantasy Black Book for baseball is already out. No, I'm just kidding. Probably out in a few weeks, but it'll be out soon enough. And this is my worst season ever in fantasy football, culminated with last night being up big, thinking I got to win. And it's just not been my year to go up against Bijan Robinson on Monday Night Football. It's just sometimes, Joe, it's just what happens. And I'm not quitting, I'm dead, I'm done. In one league, I still have a chance, but it's just been one of those unfortunate things. And I looked at the numbers too, how many points I have versus points given up. I'm not making any excuses. My team's just not that good, but I'm doing fine in points, and I'm doing horrendous in points given up. But that's what the luck is of fantasy sometimes, I think.
Yeah, a bit of it. Look, it's been a tough year for injuries. There's been a lot of weird and a lot of quarterback injuries, too, that have affected a lot of offenses. Look at the Ravens players, right? We've gone through with them, with Derrick Henry. And I think overall, a lot of emerging of some things people didn't see coming necessarily. The Daniel Jones emergence, the quick emergence of Drake May, who I know we're going to talk about as well. But it has been a tough year for fantasy. But here's my question, Craig. Maybe it's time to start preparing more than a day before the draft. Maybe you go out and get that Black Book that comes out in June. I'm just saying.
No offense to the Black Book. But no, it'll never happen.
All right.
Maybe I lost Joe Burrow in week 1, and that affected Chase. I drafted Egbuka. That was great for a long time. I was ahead of it with Benson. That was really good too. It's just things happen. I don't complain about this stuff anymore. What happens is when I get this far into the season, I just make sure that I paid already, because I do not want to pay at the end of the season after I'm horrendous. So that's usually my deal. All right, let's get to the winners in fantasy football. Baker Mayfield's been an MVP candidate. I think this is a huge topic of discussion, by the way, coming up Monday night with all those guys being out. It feels like the Tampa Bay commodities at wide receiver have to be discussed. We'll get to that. Baker's a big winner. You mentioned players that are surprises. Rico Dowdle has got to be number 1 after the last 2 weeks. He had 183 rushing yards on 30 attempts and also receiving touchdown. And then Cam Scatterbo, who I loved in college, but I just didn't think this quickly he would be this much of a factor. 3 touchdowns, 98 yards. Reminds me so much of when Allstott was with Tampa Bay. He's just that good. They don't even have work done with him. He's the main guy right now.
He is. And again, if you read your Black Book, you would be all in on Scatterbo at the NFL level. Why? Because they told him in high school it wouldn't work. They told him in college it wouldn't work. And then they told him in the pros he wouldn't work. And guess what? All this guy does is find dudes, trucks them, and runs in for scores. This is what he does. And look, he can catch the football too. He's a good athlete, and he brings an energy to the Giants that they have not had in a long time. Look, I'm from the tri-state area. You know what it's like, as Giants fans around here can probably attest to. Even when the Giants were at their peak in the mid to late 80s, early 90s, and then again the Eli Manning era, they were kind of boring. I don't think the Giants are boring right now. I think the Giants are on TV and you go, hey, I kind of want to watch Jackson Dart. I want to watch Cam Scatterbo. This is entertaining, and it's infectious, and it's creating actually a bit of a home field advantage for them, which is also something that I don't know if they've really had that much of in this stadium. So I think this is really an interesting turn here. Cam Scatterbo with a 30-point night, 3 touchdowns, huge day for them. But the lead here is Baker Mayfield. On Sunday morning on FST, I spoke at length about betting Baker Mayfield for MVP at plus 950. Why? Because the only thing really standing in his way is Josh Allen, who really is kind of in a tough spot, who doesn't have a lot of help. And of course, what happened? Baker Mayfield had an incredible game. One play in particular that really just is lighting up all the highlight reels. He gets that big first down, gets out of a sack, and kind of keeps willing this team to win. And it is a good team. They've had a lot of continuity. They did a really good job here with the front office of keeping these guys, drafting these guys, re-signing these guys, right? And no matter how many offensive coordinators he has, Baker Mayfield every year continues to get better and better. And I think this narrative has grown. And after this big win against the 49ers, and now you get the Detroit Lions, he is now plus 350 for MVP. That drop was significant. So there's a chance you're already getting offered cash outs for this in some spots. But I do think Tampa is the best team in the NFC, and I'm going to stand on that. You do get Mike Evans back, hopefully, this week. That is the hope. Noah Emeka, that hurts, but I don't see why he can't go on the road and get a victory. And then in terms of Rico Dowdle, you mentioned it. He is the RB1 over the last 2 weeks. 2 incredible performances, 200 yards in that first week that he had, and then last week, the revenge game against the Cowboys. Just incredible. He's averaging 33 points per game in PPR. It's stunning. The question is, when Chuba Hubbard comes back, what's Chuba Hubbard's role? Because if you're watching Rico Dowdle, I don't see how you can take him out of what he's doing right now. He has been electric for this team, and they're winning games right now. And I think that is the most important piece here. So we'll see how it goes. But if you have Chuba Hubbard right now, it's a very dicey investment on your bench.
Yeah, maybe a trade would help Hubbard. We'll see. All right, so in terms of wide receivers, you mentioned Egbuka, also Puka Nacua. Looks like he will miss this week, and so that's where the waiver wire is going to come into play. Got to figure that out if you have either of those guys. Justin Fields, no longer, startable in any fantasy format, I don't think, after what I saw last week. And then the Dolphins come up short, and I'm going to guess, Joe, in a couple of weeks, their team's going to look a lot different than it looks right now.
Yeah, look, bad news is Puka Nacua is not going to play this week. The good news is it doesn't look like a high ankle sprain, so maybe we're looking at a couple weeks here instead of a month and change, so that is a positive. Justin Fields was just 45 yards passing. Look, I think you crumple this up and you throw it out, and I'll tell you why. Because in Superflex leagues, this is a great time to buy on Justin Fields. It was awful. It was terrible. It's about as bad as it gets. But Justin Fields is still a QB1 in terms of fantasy. Is it going to look pretty in real life all the time? No. But you knew what you were getting into in the first place. And I think there will be panic out there. It was an international game, a game against one of the best, if not the best defense in the league, right, with the Denver Broncos. And it was a tough day at the office for Fields. He comes back this week, and you look at the schedule, it gets much better here going forward for him. So I think he gets the Carolina Panthers and then followed by the Cincinnati Bengals after that. So, there's some good matchups here for Justin Fields coming up in the weeks ahead. So to me, he's a buy, but there's no doubt that offense was atrocious. He got sacked 9 times. You just can't have that happen. And now losing Garrett Wilson doesn't help. So I think a lot of people will panic. I would buy him in Superflex leagues, though. I'm telling you, I think that rushing equity he brings is still good enough. Now the question is, who's going to step up in the vacancy there of Garrett Wilson? And then in terms of things falling apart, look, we already saw one head coach fired yesterday. Brian Callahan is gone. I do believe that Mike McDaniel will be the next to go. I always thought he would go in week 12, which is when their bye week is, but the wheels are coming off even before that. And it's funny, Craig, because they're kind of competitive in these games. They're scoring points. The defense is dreadful. They have no continuity. They seem to have no game plan. Devon Achane has played really well, but the Tua comments after the game, I know a lot of people have discussed them and said, well, it's a bad look on Tua. But what if Tua is the guy that's already gone to the coaching staff and gone to the front office saying, hey, people aren't doing what they're supposed to do? Who else is he going to appeal to but the media and the fan base and everybody else and saying, hey, I'm running this flag up this poll here and saying things are not good. We need to be better. It's a guy who comes from a Nick Saban culture. I can't think of a more different culture than what he's getting right now in Miami.
Yeah, no, I think that that's fine, Joe. I think the point is that you have open locker room on Wednesday, and I think all of that is appropriate for that. But after a game like that, I just thought it looked stupid on himself to bring it up. Now, after the week is over, and then you open, everyone's there. I don't know. I just too much blame thrown in other directions. He did take accountability, by the way. All right, week 7 waiver wire. Not the biggest of the season, but got to be in the top 2 or 3 just because of the injuries again to Nakua and Igbuka. So I will ask you, I believe this list has 3 or 2 players at least that are gone in most of these leagues. I understand it says 45% for Vidal and Bourne, but after the last 2 weeks, I can't see those guys being available. So what would you do in this spot? Because you have Boutte on New England, maybe Downs availability, but this kid Tez Johnson, he could be great this week. We don't know. Whittington could start alongside Devontae Adams. Sterling Shepard may be a guy in Tampa Bay, too. I think you have to get a piece of Tampa Bay Monday.
Yeah, I think that piece for me is Tez Johnson because I like him as a rookie. He's explosive, and you do figure that's going to be a high total game when you're looking at Vegas. So I think you try that one. Shepard, you kind of know what he is. Tez Johnson, I think, is more interesting. Kamani Vidal is, even on Sleeper, more competitive leagues, still just under 50% roster because a lot of people heard Haskins was going to be the lead, and we all just rolled with that. And turns out Vidal is better right now, at least. But it is temporary, and I think Vidal's temporary until Hampton comes back. I think all these guys are temporary. I wouldn't overspend on Boutte, on Whittington, on any of these guys. They're a bunch of streamers this week, so bid a couple bucks if you need them because they're waiver wire help. Other than that, I wouldn't overspend on any of them.
Loud and clear, Joe. Thanks. Have a good weekend.
Hopefully these go better. I'm smashed before 1 on these games. I cannot believe that this game destroyed me. I can. Why did I get involved live? That's on me. Not
that
you.
is on you.
All right.
That's on you.
You didn't have to run up the score. I said it was on me.
It was on you.
Right.
You just didn't see the writing on the wall. Knee it! Let's get out of Dodge!
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Can I get an ISO? Come on. Give me the ISO over here.
Give
right
me the
here.
ISO. He wants the camera.
Look, I'm going to get nice and comfortable right now. I've been telling you people out there, yes, you people, about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. My connection to the Irish growing up as a kid. I hated that team. But they called me at the network the most unbiased man here, which means I'm giving you the information straight from the mouth here. You don't have to go anywhere. You get it from me.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
You're looking at Joe Burrow being the guy that I was in on the beginning of the year. Clearly, that is no longer an option. So where are we looking on this board? And I keep landing on the same thing, which is, Baker Mayfield's been kind of the story this year. Think about this. He's plus 950 for MVP. They look like right now one of the, if not the most formidable team in the NFC.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But Tua goes out there, my kids love me. I'm rich. I don't care. You got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, dude, the Dolphins press conferences make it way worse. If I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Tom Vecchio is with us to talk about Underdog Monday in the National Football League, which is what it was last night. 2 teams not just covering, but winning outright. Tom, great to have you back here on NewsWire. Let's start off with the Atlanta Falcons. Feels like not only a signature win, but one of the biggest wins that they've had in a really long time, taking out the Buffalo Bills and doing it so, I think methodically is the word for it, going up big, playing good defense to close out the game. Finally, the Falcons have realized it took years. Let's get the ball to our best players, get it to Drake London, get it to Bijan Robinson. Kyle Pitts still not consistent enough, but those 2 guys really carried the load for the Falcons last night.
Yeah, when you get Robinson the ball 20 plus times a game, despite that first little fumble that, didn't actually matter, good things happen. And good things happen, and that's amplified when you're going up against a horrible run defense on the other side. So, good for the Falcons coming off a bye, kind of playing from, I don't want to say playing from behind, but they are trailing the Bucs, who seemingly find a way to win every single week in these close games outside of last week. But seeing a highly concentrated offense to just a few players is good from a prop or a fantasy perspective. And at least that's what the Falcons have been showing as of late. We do have to take this with a grain of salt, knowing that both Darnell Mooney and Ray McCloud were out. So a very, condensed offense is not a surprise to see. But coming off a bye, the Bills, it's also a weird matchup, like an interconference matchup that we don't normally see.
Right.
The Falcons were ripe for, picking off a better team, really.
Yeah, massive jump for the Falcons in the odds after last night. They're up to plus 104 to make the playoffs. Yeah. And their win total 9.5 to win the NFC South. It's 4-1. Flip side, real quick, let's do Buffalo here. It's just one of those years, Tom, where I suppose someone is just going to get hot late and run the table. But Kansas City's had their ups and downs. The Colts, you're just not really sure. They're going to have a good year, but is it a Super Bowl type season? And Buffalo looked like the most dominant team in the NFL after 3 weeks. And now, all of a sudden, it looks like they have some holes, too.
Buffalo being dominant, that's something I would push back on. It's something I've seen discussion about. Beating the Ravens, okay, at that time they were fully healthy, but you beat the Jets, you beat the Saints. Like, they're dominant, but those aren't the most impressive wins when it's all said and done. The point that I'm trying to make, and I'm always going to believe in Kansas City, especially the fact that I think their offense has looked much better, and the fact that they will be getting Rice back in the coming weeks. So they are trending upward. And Xavier Worthy, I know he didn't do a whole lot in the most recent game, at least from a yards perspective. But now that you will have a fully operational offense, those are only good signs for Kansas City. And we can poke holes in all these teams, the Bills, you can poke holes in the Colts, the Chargers with their injuries. But buying into the Chiefs is never a bad thing when you know that they will be ready to go as the season moves on.
Yeah, and by the way, you're going to push back on impressive wins. I'm going to push back on that. What the heck is an impressive win these days in the NFL? There's like 3 good teams. Everybody else is terrible in the NFL. I mean, who's good? I don't know. All right, Bears, are they good? They go to Washington, win that game. A lot of folks thought, hey, maybe they could cover, but to win this game outright, 25-24, Daniels looked so good the week before. This week, their defense just really didn't hold up in the end. I think, look, I'm going to give a lot of credit to Chicago. I'm not sold, though. I think a couple of long plays with Swift, et cetera, really led to their win. And I do feel when McLaurin gets back for Washington, that's going to be a difference maker. You look at those receiving stats, Tom, those were pretty ugly from their pass catchers.
Right. You could take from this game, like the narrative that you want to build, you're going to find reasons to take away from it. Oh, the fumble, the long plays, Washington wasn't fully healthy. Debo was out there, but he didn't look like himself. They have no Terry McLaurin, this, that, the other thing. Also, some people were saying this was a bit of a look-ahead spot for Washington as they play at the Cowboys, a divisional matchup, which is just factually more important compared to, it is still an interconference matchup, but a divisional matchup is always going to be more important. So there were a lot of factors to buy into, backing the Bears in some capacity. The weather was an issue, all these sorts of things. The thing that, again, I will continuously say is we have to look at what the Commanders did or didn't do on offense. And once Terry comes back, if they struggle at that point when they are fully healthy, that is the most concerning thing. But I don't want to say give them a pass on this, but I'm willing to take this into context.
Washington's win total, by the way, 8.5 on the season because of the slow start that they got off to, and then also losing that game last night. Still plus 142 to make the playoffs. A long shot, clearly more a long shot for the Super Bowl than they were to open up the season. It just hasn't been their year thus far. Still a long way to go. Okay, long way to go for the Tennessee Titans. 4-19 in the NFL as a head coach. You're allowed to go 4-19. Well, you're not allowed to go 4-19. You can go 4-18. That's okay, Tom. Wow, the Titans appear to be one of the more dysfunctional organizations going right now in the National Football League. And honestly, I'm not sure that Callahan was even the guy in the first place. It was a very quiet hire at the time, going from Vrabel to Callahan. They're asking him to go through a rebuild, but a rebuild shouldn't look this bad in the NFL. You can't just not win games like this, and it led to his demise. I wonder what the Titans will do. It feels like this is purgatory for a few years for them.
I would say more than a few years, and I'm going to say that this started more before this year. Trading A.J. Brown a couple years ago was a mistake. Not paying high-priced wide receivers that can change the dynamic of games is a mistake. Not being willing to hang on to Derrick Henry was a mistake. Hiring a coach that was largely unproven, a mistake. And to do all this, and I believe in Cam Ward, I do, but when you are not protecting him with the offensive line, when you're not surrounding him with enough talent, when you're not willing to expand the playbook and really let him experiment in the offense, they're never going to have success. So it's going to be a very long season for the Titans. There's no doubt about it. And it's not going to look pretty at times. They're going to lose games by 10, 14, 21 points, whatever it is. But you need to start building, at least from a cultural standpoint, to get these players on the right page.
And by the way, they have fired or done away with their coach year after year. John Robinson, their GM, then ran Carthon, then Vrabel, then Callahan, hired, Carthon fired. Yeah, it's just been crazy here. So basically, though, Tom, I'm going to leave with this. The best bet, my favorite bet in the NFL this season is this week. And it is Tennessee. The coach gets fired. I always back the team. And on top of it, it's the third straight road game. That's the magic number for the New England Patriots. This is my favorite bet of the year. Titans +7. I'm going to go on the record. This is my favorite bet of the season.
Also, we have the return of the coach. So if you want to buy into that, that's just another layer to add on top. Mike Vrabel returning to Tennessee. So maybe the players are just fired up. They want to, make sure that they're bringing out their best effort. But a coach always being fired can be a big thing for a team.
In college and pro, I would agree. All right, Tom, thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Hopefully these go better. I'm smashed before one on these games. I cannot believe that this game destroyed me. I can. Why did I get involved live? That's on me. Not
that
you.
is on you.
All right. Yeah,
that's on you.
You didn't have to run up the score. I said it was on me.
It was on you.
Right.
You just didn't see the writing on the wall. Knee it. Let's get out of Dodge.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Can I get an ISO? Come on. Give me the ISO over here.
Give
right
me the
here.
ISO. He wants the camera.
Look, I'm going to get nice and comfortable right now. I've been telling you people out there, yes, you people, about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. My connection to the Irish growing up as a kid, I hated that team. But they called me at the network the most unbiased man here, which means I'm giving you the information straight from the mouth here. You don't have to go anywhere. You get it from me.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
You're looking at Joe Burrow being the guy that I was in on the beginning of the year. Clearly, that is no longer an option. So where are we looking on this board? And I keep landing on the same thing, which is, Baker Mayfield's been kind of the story this year. Think about this. He's plus 950 for MVP. They look like right now one of the, if not the most formidable team in the NFC.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But Tua goes out there, my kids love me. I'm rich. I don't care. You got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, the Dolphins press conferences make it way worse. If I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. After James Franklin was fired by Penn State on Sunday, social media basically had at it because the buyout money, which is, I believe, over $50 million, was just incredible. And so there's a lot of people asking themselves what the best job is in sports. And some people certainly feel that the best job in sports is not to have a job, just get hired to coach a college football team and then get bought out and not coach at all. The other question that this does ask is, will other teams be willing to buy out this significant amount of money? The University of Florida with Billy Napier. I mean, it's not under discussion right now, but Dabo Swinney's also owed, I think, close to $60 million as well. So those are just some of the topics that are going on right now in college football. Also, Trent Dilfer, not that he had a huge buyout, but Trent Dilfer also fired by UAB. So this has been going on all season long. So our friends at Front Office Sports discussed buyouts that add up to about $90 million, and also discussed the rising costs of firing a college football head coach. Let's not get it twisted, though. These universities still have a ton of money and are very easily not just going to fire the head coach and have the buyout, but they're just going to hire somebody new and give that person a buyout as well. Let's also not forget about Bill Belichick, still TBD on his situation moving forward as well. All right, so let's turn it over to Front Office Sports as they discuss college football, coaches, firings, and buyouts, and what we could be potentially looking at in the future with all of the money that's being dispersed.
Well, Franklin was just one of 3 coaches fired over the weekend, with the buyouts so far at $90 million that we've counted. Let's bring in FOS reporter David Rumsey for more. David, good to see you. So let's talk about the latest on who was fired and a lot of these buyouts that we're seeing that are pretty large here.
Yeah, Baker Renee, thanks for having me on. And absolutely, the money is flowing, not in a good way because it's teams underperforming and firing their coaches. So obviously, James Franklin generating the headlines of nearly $50 million. That buyout was kind of a discussion ever since that loss to Oregon that they had earlier this season. But yeah, the buyouts for 7 FBS coaches fired since the season began have now totaled actually a little bit more than $93 million. So that's not quite as much as the record from in 2023, which reached $118 million by the end of the season, but it's certainly up there and way more than last year, which was only $36 million or so, even including some firings after the season.
Yeah, and David, around these firings, I've heard the programs talking about recruiting, scheduling, some other issues that maybe were at the core of this. But one of the big things that jump out, you have James Franklin with Penn State fired and the buyout around $50 million, and some other schools such as Pac-12's Oregon State's Trent Bray, coach fired for a $4 million buyout and a $2.4 million buyout for AAC's UAB coach Trent Dilfer. How much does this point to a product of the growing gap and pressure also in college sports?
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. Just look at how expensive it is to fire somebody who's a top tier Power 4 coach at the Big Ten like James Franklin, and how relatively inexpensive it is to move on from somebody else. Even for Oregon State, like you said, Pac-12, which just a few seasons ago was in the Power 5, and now they're, in that maybe group of 6 that we're calling it now.
Yeah, the other thing I'm fascinated with is obviously these bigger schools, like let's say Georgia, Kirby Smart, I believe his buyout is $100 million. Lincoln Riley at USC is $90 million. Is this going to be basically the thing we're going to see in all these contracts from now on, are these massive buyouts, but then it's a risk for the school because if the coach doesn't play well, then you're on the hook for $50 to $100 million then?
You're absolutely right, Baker. And really, at the top end of the highest tier of college football coaching, you're making $10 million plus a season. I mean, even Bill Belichick and Deion Sanders, who are struggling to win games for the most part, are making $10 million. And maybe that's just because of their name brand value. But yeah, 10, 11, 12, $13 million a year for these big SEC and Big Ten coaches. James Franklin was making $8.5 million a year, but they're guaranteed for so many years. I mean, these top coaches now are guaranteed into the 2030s, and they're always re-upping their contracts. And that means that those buyouts are going to be, like you said, 50, 60, even up to $100 million. And hey, good on the agents for getting that secured value for their clients.
Yeah, obviously, when coaches are let go, typically it's around they're not producing on the field. But do you get a sense that with NIL, with other aspects that have really come into the college sports landscape, that there's other components as well that might lead to this becoming the precedent for schools to consider taking a buyout?
Well, there certainly is more and more pressure to win, especially when you don't have the excuse of, just missing on a recruiting class or something like that. I mean, you have the transfer portal, like you're saying. Now you have revenue sharing, NIL. So if you are a school with so much money on the outside, whether it's your collective or your boosters, and obviously the $20+ million of revenue sharing, like we said, there's no excuse to not be performing on the field.
Just crazy, the numbers and all of us and the money out here. David Rumsey, thank you, David, as always.
you been watching Tua Tagovailoa's post-game press conferences where he basically is like, yeah, I'm getting paid, deal with it. By the way, how's the team? Nobody shows up to meetings, players-only meetings, people skip out. Nobody cares around here, and we lost again. Tua threw 3 interceptions. Yes, he's part of the problem. James Franklin got fired from Penn State, we'll talk about later. When is McDaniels getting shown the door? This team is ridiculous, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Basically a year's worth of starts at this point, because remember, Drake May was not the starter out of the gate during his rookie year last year. That was Jacoby Brissett. There have been some, encouraging performances and, I think some flashes of what could be upper echelon talent within the scope of the league. But going into this year, we're going to find out.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night, bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at plus 190. Right. These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are we going to sit here today and acknowledge that the Indianapolis Colts right now are the best team in the AFC?
They are right now.
They can run the football with Taylor. They got a competent quarterback, the way he's playing right now, in Daniel Jones. They are well coached.
They never punt.
They never punt.
They never punt.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. We got our Just Baseball show coming your way in 30 minutes. Great timing. Of course, we got the National League Championship Series Game 2 tonight. Jack McMullen is with us, of course, from Just Baseball and part of the show and also of the Marlins Broadcast Radio Network. And, I mean, Jack, you must be your vocal cords must be more relaxed and at ease, and you don't have to pound the Vicks in the halls or anything, right? Like, you've had like a good couple of weeks here now.
Craig, it's only been 2 weeks. I think I need 4 more months, and then we're going to be ready to go come spring training. So we're fine. I need a little bit more than 2 weeks, but overall, it's been good. And I remember what it feels like to not talk right now, which is the nice thing.
Yeah, no, I feel you there. All right, so we're going to make you talk here, though, for the next 30 minutes or so. Let's get started with last night. And, it's like, for me, this is like a results business. And, yeah, I mean, the Brewers game, it was close. And, Blake Snell was amazing. And he struck out 10. And I get all that. But it's like, I go back to the same thing. Are we really headed toward another Dodgers championship here? Like, they can just beat you in so many different ways. And I'm just so... Look, I'm fine with that. I don't care who wins, by the way. But it's like, if the game is close, I just fully expect them to win, Jack. Like, I think a team to beat the Dodgers, you have to go up big like Seattle did yesterday against Toronto.
So I'm with you, but then I think that ninth inning strikes a little bit of fear into the Dodger fan base. I really think that ninth inning kind of encapsulated their problems. And I was talking about this on last night's Just Baseball show. Like, didn't that feel like all of Dave Roberts' fears coming true in that ninth, where you get the great start from Blake Snell, and they're working in the opposite way than every other team in the postseason? Every other baseball team among the 29 other franchises, if they get to the postseason, the leash gets shorter for the starting pitcher. Mm-hmm. The leash gets longer for the Dodgers starters right now, because they know that the bullpen has some serious issues. Blake Snell faced the minimum across 8 innings. He was amazing. And then all of a sudden, this game gets nauseatingly tight with Sasaki and Trinan. Sasaki was amazing through his first 5 appearances in the postseason, but he wasn't throwing strikes last night. And then Trinan comes on. He's bailed out twice by Terang. That ball should have hit Terang. It was a curveball that he got out of the way of on a 2-2 count. That would have tied the game at 2. And then all of a sudden, he's swinging at a fastball at his eyelids. That, for me, embodied exactly what could go awry for the LA Dodgers in the CS or in the World Series. But you know what? If they're getting great starts, and if Ohtani and Betts Freeman sort of kind of come alive, I'm with you. Like, it feels like the Dodgers are a bit inevitable.
And it does feel like no one's pitching to Ohtani too, and so we'll see if that changes. He walked 3 times yesterday. So one guy who should pitch to him tonight, I would assume, would be Freddie Peralta. This is the Brewers' best shot, I think, tonight, and they're not even favored. They're underdogs against the Dodgers because Yoshinobu Yamamoto is going to start for LA. The total is 7.5, so that gives me some hope, maybe some more runs scored. This isn't like a 5.5 total, which we've seen with some of the aces going, but very similar to the ALCS, Jack. I would assume this is do or die time for the Brewers because the game is at home. It's just hard for me to see them winning so many games in LA.
Yeah, I called the ALCS game 2 must win for Toronto because they had their hottest arm on the hill in Travage, the rookie right-hander, and they needed to win that before going back to Seattle. You cannot be behind 2-0 going back to that team's home ballpark. And what happens, Seattle comes on and just bludgeons Trey Savage and Toronto. So that cannot happen for Milwaukee tonight. They need Freddie Peralta to throw like the ace and the Cy Young contender in the National League that he was this year. But the problem is, you mentioned Yamamoto. Yamamoto is one of the best pitchers in baseball. I think what's working in the Brewers' favor tonight, though, is while Yamamoto was better than Snell during the regular season, Snell and Dave Roberts and Lawrence Shahadi were talking about this on the TNT broadcast last night. Like, Snell's in a bit of a trance right now where nobody's touching him in the month of October. Right. Yamamoto looked very human in his start against the Phillies. So you're going up against a really good pitcher, but somebody that has had some damage done against them this month, as opposed to Snell, where nobody's touching him, and chances are you weren't going to touch him at any point. So, yeah, it really does feel must win for Milwaukee.
And right now, the Dodgers are heavily favored to win the series. If you go on the road and win, that's what happens. Minus 460 to win the series. So if you do like Milwaukee, tonight is your night to get in on it because you won't get plus 360 if the Brewers do win this one tonight. Meanwhile, Jack, real quick, let's review this. The NLCS MVP, and I think this is really interesting here when you think about it because Blake Snell, after the game last night, goes to plus 550, and Ohtani and Freeman have done nothing. And if this series should go to 6, Snell's going to pitch again. I mean, to me, that's the name that stands out here. If he goes again, you rarely get an NLCS MVP at this point that's 5-1. Again, just my opinion on it.
I mean, heck, if this game or if this series goes to 5, wouldn't Snell get game 5? Because you would just cycle back. And I think it would be Yamamoto game 2, Ohtani game 3, and then Glasnow game 4. And then you would get Snell on normal rest. That would be 4 days rest there. So, yeah, I mean, I could absolutely see a world where, Snell wins that. That makes all the sense in the world to me. I mean, Freddie Freeman with the homer in game 1, he's off to a nice, he's hot out of the blocks, right? So I understand that with Freeman. The other name that jumped out on that list to me was Chourio. If Milwaukee is going to scratch and claw their way back into this series, and it's not even a scratch and claw, they're down 1-0. It's not like they're already down 2 games to zip. But if Milwaukee does win this series, Chourio is going to be a humongous factor in doing that. The other 2 guys that jump out to me in that lineup that have to be huge factors, William Contreras, the Brewer catcher, and then also Bryce Terang, the Brewer second baseman. But I feel like Chourio is the straw that is stirring the drink for that offense right now. If it's a Brewer, I feel like it would be Chourio, but I understand what you're saying entirely as it pertains to Snell.
Yeah, let's get now to the American League Championship Series, and nothing is ever over, as they say, until it is. But man, to see that kid get lit up last night, he Savage against Seattle, and knowing that he's going to have to start another game in the series. I mean, you talk about how dominant he was against the Yankees, and just the advanced scouting, Jack, in Major League Baseball, so good. And that's a great display of that last night. They knew exactly how to attack him, and they did it. I mean, also, it's worth noting Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has not done much. I get it, ups and downs. But that's why, if I'm a Blue Jays fan, I'd be a little depressed, is not only did they lose the game, but they thought this incredible force that they had on the mound, you'd probably be concerned to start him in the next game.
I was reading a fantastic article from Eno Saris in The Athletic, and Eno is, very analytically driven when it pertains to the pitching front. And he did this whole dive into the new tech about, scouting pitchers, prepping for pitchers. And when you have a weird arm angle like Savage has the highest arm angle in Major League Baseball. Like, hitters do not hit that guy when he's pitching at home because they don't have access to these traject machines and these, humongous screen pitching machines that will effectively give you the look at the delivery before it actually happens. They had no problem with that on the road. So that bucked the trend of every analytical development that we have seen this year. Weird arm angles work at home. It didn't work for Trey Savage last night. And I don't know if you chalk that up to advanced scouting or these Mariners being, dead set on their approach. It might just be they're really hot right now. Julio Rodriguez has been good for the last 3 months, and Julio just drilled one in the first inning. Jorge Polanco is playing like the best player in the postseason right now. Maybe they're just hot. It feels a little team of destiny-ish on the American League side for Seattle. Yeah. When they get a win in 15 innings in Game 5, I'm not going to put anything past them.
Yeah, I fell asleep 3 times during that game. Fell asleep, woke up, fell asleep, woke up, fell asleep, woke up. I'm an old guy.
I was on a plane.
All right.
So I was on a plane. I landed in the 8th inning, and I had Rick Riz, the Mariners radio broadcaster, from innings 8 through 15 when I was waiting for my bag and Ubering home.
That's funny. Mariners are huge favorites. I don't think we need to go further into this, but we'll show you minus 600 to win the series. They're going back home. I would assume they're probably going to win at some point. How about to win the World Series, Jack? Has your opinion changed at all with this? The Dodgers still the favorites. Seattle, you mentioned maybe the team of destiny. Milwaukee, Toronto. Can't back either the 2 final teams. How about if it's one of those first 2?
Yeah, I understand what Seattle's doing. I love what Seattle's doing. There is an absurd amount of firepower on the Dodgers side. Bats are going to come alive at some point. I still have the Dodgers. I have them doing it in probably 6 games.
We'll be right back. More would go around the managing carousel in baseball next.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
You may be surprised, because I am, that the athlete in the world who has become the first billionaire is Cristiano Ronaldo. I did not know that, and I did not have that on my bingo card. So after his contract that he just signed, it means that he's the first athlete to ever earn $1 billion playing sports.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night. Bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at old plus 190. Right. These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Jack McMullen back with us. Just Baseball coming your way in 15 minutes from now. I think it's fair to say more managerial openings than we thought a few months ago. Surprises with the Giants a little bit to see Bob Melvin being let go. Brian Snitker retiring. The Angels saying goodbye to Ron Washington. And then the biggest surprise, Jack, of all had to be Mike Shildt retiring in San Diego. Not going to manage, and did a great job with them. Did a very good job with the Cardinals as well. From reports, it seems the coaches had no clue whatsoever that this was coming, so I don't know if that's on him or them or who. But man, like this is a really good job opening. It's the only game in town in San Diego. They got no football team. They got no basketball team. It's a great gig. The team generally tries to compete and spend, although they pulled back on that, I know, the last couple of years. But you're instantly going to a team that's going to have a projected win total in the high 80s at least.
Is this the baseball equivalent to the Penn State opening right now? I feel like it might be.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So do you think? Yeah, like, and let me like open this door here, which I'll do early. Is that, do you think Skip Schumacher, had he known that this job was going to come up, would have waited to take that gig, which is so close to his house and the former team that he coached with? Or do you think that he prefers to be with Texas because he spent a year with them? That's my big question here, because I think that the Padres would have loved to know if Schilt was going to go so they could have talked to Skip.
I would assume that he would still be in this situation in Arlington personally, because he was, well integrated within that front office over the last year. Isn't his son playing baseball at TCU as well? Like, I think there's some family ties to that now Dallas-Fort Worth area as well. So, you've got that working for you. So I think that makes a lot of sense, but this clearly becomes the crown jewel of the managerial cycle.
Definitely.
I do think that Texas was probably number 2, because Texas, they still have all of the pieces. They're 3 years or 2 years removed from a World Series championship in 2023, and a lot of those guys in the lineup are the same guys. Now, the production is nowhere close to the same production. I keep asking what happened to Adolis Garcia and Jonah Heim, but here we are. They have young, exciting pieces in Langford and Evan Carter, and by the way, you get to manage Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi when he comes back from this injury. That's really exciting. So I don't think it would have swayed Skip too much, but this now becomes the type of managerial opening that could pry a manager from another team away. There are very few teams that can actually do that. And the last time we saw that happen was Chicago, right? Like, Chicago hired Craig Counsell from Milwaukee, and Milwaukee was a good situation, but Chicago is probably a better situation in terms of pay, in terms of market, all of that. San Diego feels like one of those rare managerial opportunities that could pry an active manager away. They could also go the Nick Hundley route. I mean, this guy is all over the headlines right now in terms of being a San Francisco candidate and a San Diego candidate. Nick Hundley lives in San Diego as well. So they could go kind of new, youthful injection after a guy legitimately retired. But I don't know. It does seem like they can go big fish hunting in San Diego, because it is a really solid opportunity with a really good roster. The thing that intrigues me most about this, and Mike Schilt was talking to Dennis Lynn of The Athletic yesterday, and he said, "I'm just tired, dude." Like, that was the quote that stuck with me, because he probably was exhausted. You have to deal with a lead decision maker in AJ Preller that is going all in all the time. You have to deal with reported financial constraints of the San Diego Padres with the ownership kerfuffle going on right now. There's a lot of moving parts in San Diego, and I wonder how much that tired Schilt out as the manager of a baseball team.
Yeah, he did a great job, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Padres, Preller did bring in a manager a few years ago. I forget who it was. He was a former player, but didn't have any background in managing, and Preller was really attached to him. And I forget the manager's name. Green, maybe, was it? And it didn't work out, and then all of a sudden they went the Melvin route and then the Schilt route too. I don't know, his name is escaping me, but anyway.
Is it Andy Green?
Oh, Andy Green, that's right, Andy Green. Right, remember he took a lot of crap for hiring him, because everyone's like, "What was?" And it didn't work out, and then so I think they would have to take somebody with experience, but. Okay, so Rob Thompson back in Philadelphia, and then we'll get to the open spots here. This should not be a surprise. Is it his fault that the team just keeps falling flat in October?
I thought it was bizarre that the media with the Philly contingent was asking all these guys in LA when they did get bounced in LA. They were asking, thoughts on Topper, which is Rob Thompson's nickname, thoughts on Rob Thompson, should he be back? And I mean, Bryce Harper said that's a Dombrowski question, but I love him. And you had a whole bunch of guys answering questions about Rob Thompson. And I was sitting here scratching my head. I was like, why is this even a conversation? This is back-to-back NL East titles. He's clearly the guy for you. So they're going to move forward with him. I thought retention was a little weird that even needed to be reported. But I don't know. I guess the Phillies are in this weird, we're going to try and repeat the Last Dance thing in 2026. they were talking about this postseason, this World Series pursuit, in a very last dance manner, because Schwarber hits the open market, Real Muto hits the open market, Ranger Suarez hits the open market. You've got a lot of guys getting older, a lot of guys on expiring contracts. It kind of felt like the last go, but if they bring Schwarber back, I'm just not sure what's overwhelmingly different. They may need to go get another starting pitcher, but that's fine.
Right.
Phillies can do that.
Yeah. Okay, so the open managerial spots, and again, the Rangers named Schumacher the manager. I felt like it was easy for them to get permission. Usually during this time, you're not really allowed to make the big announcements during the ALCS and NLCS, and I'm guessing, given that Skip was with the organization, it was just easy. I think all these other managers, by the way, besides Skip, I think other teams know what they're doing. We just don't know who it is yet. Angels, Braves, Orioles, Twins, Giants, Nationals. You mean to tell me that these teams have no clue who they're hiring? They do, Jack. We're waiting to get to a couple of off days, I guess, for some announcements, I think.
I would think so as well. I feel like Atlanta would have a firm plan. Baltimore, I love that guy, Tony Mansolino, who is the interim manager. I wouldn't be shocked if he was just the guy moving forward for them. Yeah, there are some others, like Minnesota. They could still be in the exploratory phase of their search, but I feel like those are few and far between. I just want to know who Albert Pujols is going to be managing in 2026, because that name just continues to come up. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I want to see this. I have a feeling it's going to be Anaheim, because you've got Yadier Molina waiting for the next change in St. Louis.
Yeah, I agree. Jack, great stuff. We'll catch you on Just Baseball later today. Thanks for coming on NewsWire. Really appreciate it.
You bet. Appreciate you, Craig.
All right, Jack McMullen. Follow Just Baseball on social media and online for all the action in the Arizona Fall League as well. We'll be right back to wrap it up. Don't go away.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
You may be surprised, because I am, that the athlete in the world who has become the first billionaire is Cristiano Ronaldo. I did not know that, and I did not have that on my bingo card. So after his contract that he just signed, it means that he's the first athlete to ever earn $1 billion playing sports.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night. Bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at old plus 190. Right. These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. As we get ready to wrap up our show, we've got some last licks for you. We're going to talk a little bit about the luck of the Chiefs. We'll also hit on Shiloh Sanders. Why are we talking about him? I'll tell you that and a whole lot more. We'll also give you a preview of tonight's baseball game before we go as well. Time now for Last Licks. There's this common theme and narrative that the Chiefs have been getting calls the last few years. This was the same thing that we heard when Tom Brady was the quarterback of the New England Patriots, and I'm not sure that they put together a study to prove whether or not that was true, but apparently we have one now for the Kansas City Chiefs. According to UTEP University, published in Financial Review, here are the results. From 2015 to 2023, data shows the Chiefs have been statistically benefited from slanted officiating, especially in the playoffs. Researchers found that penalties versus the Chiefs' opponents were more likely to be subjective, including roughing the passer and pass interference. That's something that's subjective, meaning that the refs make the decision, covered more yardage, and also led to more first downs. So there, has been this out there that the Chiefs get calls, and that's the reason why they've won a Super Bowl, been back to a Super Bowl, etc. I'm not really sure, but if the data shows that this is the case, here's what you can expect. Eventually, the referees to go the other way on this thing. Now, this conspiracy theory that the NFL wants Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and now Taylor Swift involved in this, not really sure I buy all that. But I do buy when refs like players. And in this case, it seems like they like Mahomes quite a bit. Shedeur Sanders is still not quarterbacking for the Cleveland Browns after all the discussion that we had. That's coming soon. We know that. Okay, let's not get it twisted. Shedeur Sanders is going to be the quarterback of the Browns sooner rather than later. I would say a couple of weeks away. Sorry, I leaned in there, Luke, on the shot. But here's the bottom line. You do not expect his brother to get dressed up in a Browns jersey outside a game and troll your own brother. But that's exactly what happened. Shiloh Sanders, who's out of work, you saw him right there in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey. He got cut. If I'm not mistaken, Frank, he's not in the NFL anymore. I don't think anybody signed him. So he ended up going to the game this past week in Green Bay and got dressed up as his brother, walking around the concourse to see if he could fool people into thinking that it was actually him, and he got it done, got the job done. Now, why he chose to do this, I don't know. I'm hoping there's some end game from this, a YouTube video, a TikTok, or something that you can financially cash in on. Other than that, a very weird brother-to-brother relationship, and I do wonder how Shedeur Sanders felt about this, and even his dad, Deion Sanders, as well. So, pulled off the prank. Brother gets dressed up as his other brother, walks around a stadium, and people believe that's him with just hours to go before a game. Crazy. Finally, if you've been following Major League Baseball playoffs thus far, the hottest hitter in the postseason as of right now is Jorge Polanco. He's on the Seattle Mariners, and he keeps hitting home runs. He's the first player in baseball history to have a go-ahead hit in the fifth inning or later in 3 consecutive postseason games. In fact, he's been so hot that his nickname right now is called George Bonds, as in Barry Bonds, and is, changing the name from Jorge to George. Polanco, ironically, could have been had by anybody this offseason. He was a 1-year contract and has ended up making the most out of that, and that's just kind of the fun thing about baseball. You never know when some guy is going to pop off and become a hero. And as of right now, in that American League Championship Series, there's a good shot Polanco could end up being the ALCS MVP if this continues. Toronto will take on Seattle tomorrow night in Game 3 of the ALCS, and we'll have that covered for you tomorrow here on the show. As I mentioned tonight, we got the Dodgers once again taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers are going to need another great start, and they're hoping that Freddie Peralta is the answer as he starts tonight against Yoshinobu Yamamoto with a total of 7.5 over on the FanDuel Sportsbook. And as you can imagine, more of a coin flip game tonight. LA slight favorites, minus 124. Shohei Ohtani will lead off. He walked 3 times yesterday, did not get a hit. Thanks to our guests here on the program today, Bill Bender from Sporting News, Joe Pisapia, also from SportsGrid and Fantasy Blackbook, and our very own Tom Vecchio and Jack McMullen of Just Baseball. Speaking of which, our Just Baseball program comes your way in less than a minute. So if you want all the latest on baseball's postseason and a little Arizona Fall League, stay tuned because the guys at Just Baseball have you covered. Thanks again to our director, Luke, and from my producer, Frank. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I'll be a guest on Kevin Walsh's show tonight if you want to check me out there talking some baseball and some football as well. If not, see you back here tomorrow for our next edition of NewsWire.